welcome back. For those of you just arriving, this is OMA Mobile. How many years have we been doing OMA Mobile? Somebody tell me? 6 years. This is our 6th year. We've gone through all kinds of, all the phases of the development of the mobile marketing industry. And we're delighted you're with us again here in Internet Week to see what's coming. Our theme is Real Expectations, the Mobile Reality Check of 2013. And we've got a great program ahead. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again to Marchex for the sponsoring breakfast. And thanks to all our sponsors. We've got Tremor Videos, our premier sponsor. You'll be hearing from them over lunch. We'll also have a presentation from Videology, who our presenting sponsor. We have a number of additional sponsors, many of them having displays or tabletops outside the conference room. Be sure to check them out. One sponsor that we're particularly happy for, and I mean not to single others out above all the others, but this is like a tip for those who might sponsor in the future. The power stations on every table, App Snack. I don't know if you get that at many shows. Do you get that at many shows? Power station? Is anybody listening to me? Okay, yeah. Power stations on every table.
I would say there's no way you get it at any other show.
No other show. No other show provides you that. There you go. So, as no doubt you all know, MediaPost is kind of all over mobile. We've got Mobile Marketing Daily. We've been publishing for 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. Which of course brings you the latest from the complete world of mobile marketing by the best curator in the business every day in your email inboxes. So we've also recently started a publication called M-Commerce Daily, edited by a man who's in the room who literally wrote the book, which I'm sure if he gets a chance to tell you, he'll tell you about. Chuck Martin. What's that book name, Chuck? Mobile Influence, and it's all about the coming M-Commerce revolution. He edits M-Commerce Daily every day for us, so we're glad he's with us as well. One more thing, one more advertisement for us and those we like. We have the Mobile Insider Summit coming up in August at Lake Tahoe. It's a great event, great location, great opportunity to not just hear good content, excellent content, but to also meet your peers and even competitors and potential business partners in a relaxed setting with plenty of off time and plenty of cocktails as well. So it's true, but I thought maybe I'd get a laugh for that. So thank you. So MediaPost, in case you haven't noticed, we're doing 4 events this week. This is our 3rd. This is like, I guess yesterday was hump day for us, if that's the right term, but we did OMA Social at the Internet Week headquarters on Monday, and yesterday here in this room, OMA Video. Today, of course, OMA Mobile, and tomorrow we're doing a new show for us called OMA DDM, stands for Data-Driven Marketing, which talks about what you can imagine, mobilizing all the data from all your sources in a way that actionable marketing insights are derived and, in fact, implemented. So that's down at the Internet Week headquarters again tomorrow, and that's on 18th and 7th, between 6th and 7th, the Altman Building. I hope you'll be with us there as well. Guess that's it for me. It's my pleasure once again to introduce the guy who needs no introduction. I, of course, say that every time. And in fact, we've talked about flipping this where maybe he introduces me and I wave at you from the back of the room, because everybody ought to know Steve Smith. He's been covering this field for many, many years, and for us, thank goodness, and nobody else, right? Yeah, thanks. And he's programmed the show. I always like to give a little, tell a little anecdote about Steve, so I have one today, because I don't have to tell you his resume, I hope. Other than he's studied and taught advertising, marketing, and media, and then went into the field of journalism, and we were lucky to hook up with him at that point. But here's the story. So just to remind you of the stories I've told before, don't worry, it's not going to go on that long, but there's one about how his graduate thesis was on the subject. I'm not going to tell the story. It was on the subject of, I think, Popeye and depression economics. And you could go look it up somewhere. Probably it's available online. And it was that was a good story, like in the last couple of years, because we were actually going through a mini depression. So, but since we're now back on the other side and hopefully emerging in the upward direction, I'll tell you simply that lately it's been a little difficult to communicate with Steve because for a reason I'm not going to go into, and I don't think he would either exactly, but he's had to cut down on his email writing and reading, and he's gone to dictation software. So a guy who is always incredibly articulate is suddenly almost like bumbling when I get an email from him. I got to go, what were you talking about, Steve? So I think in person he doesn't have that problem. I think you'll be able to understand everything he has to say. Please welcome Steve Smith.
Now I have to make sure I don't bumble. Where's that guy? Please tweet. Ken Fadner opens the conference by saying, "Is anybody listening to me?" Thanks and welcome once again. As Ken said, we started these shows 6 years ago. In fact, some of you are probably tired of me saying this, but I always love this little tidbit. We started the OMA Mobile shows on the day the iPhone was released, the end of June 2007. They literally had lines right down the street, and we gave an iPhone as a prize. We had a bake-off among the early mobile ad networks and gave an iPhone to the winner. Amobi, I think, was the winner at the time. So we've been, my persistent line about these shows is that they're an ongoing conversation. We do them twice a year. We treat them as iterative. So we're often trying to pick up on not only what the current state of the industry is, but also what did we talk about last time? What needs to be talked about next time? So what does the mad columnist have in mind by talking about realistic expectations? Well, one of the things that's sort of in the air is this kind of temptation that we have in this industry, I think, to believe our own numbers. After all, the numbers around mobile are so impressive. The shift in usage, so amazing in such a short period of time. It's really easy to be disarmed by them and to have unrealistic expectations about how much money and attention should be moving our way as a result. From time spent to the levels of devotion that people have to their device, to the rapid migration of usage from desktop to mobile. And even, the almost universal use of devices now during prime time, they all lead to a lot of hand-wringing about the quote-unquote monetization gap between mobile usage and advertising spend here. When will the ad money finally match the audiences and all of that? The future of media, obviously, is off of the desktop. And all of this is true. But in many ways, it's a false equation. We set ourselves up for unrealistic expectations, not only about when and how much money is going to move to mobile, but also what mobile is all about. Whether it really is just a migration of money, really a migration of things that we've known already from the web moving on to mobile. These kinds of simple equations, I think, and expectations presume that the advertising and the marketing forms and formats that we've been practicing on digital and other media for all of these years are really going to work equally well on devices, and that the marketing patterns that we've always known, even in online and digital form, really have the same sorts of usage here and the same sorts of effectiveness here on this medium. And at the same time, the whole definition and idea of mobile is itself morphing on us. What the hell is mobile? At what point do we stop talking about all devices as mobile? At what point do we start distinguishing that these experiences actually are very distinct? Simply because, and stop lumping into this single mobile category a whole set of post-desktop experiences that really have to be dealt with in a lot of different ways. The smartphone does not invite the same kind of interactions as a tablet, nor the same kinds of behaviors or interactions as a Google Glass or in-car media or even a fitness band. And yet all of these things are connected, all of them use apps, and all are contextually aware. They're all mobile, but they're all very different. Mobile as we know it now, the smartphone, is really just one piece of a much larger movement that's going on, a much larger set of connected experiences. Maybe at some point in the next couple of years, we won't be talking about OMA mobile anymore. We'll be talking about OMA mobility. There'll be some broader concept that really we use to understand that something much bigger is going on here than just a damn smartphone. And setting realistic expectations for mobile is probably a matter of, in one sense, downsizing and at the same time upsizing the hype all at once. On the one hand, there are some aspects of digital marketing that probably may not scale or perform well here after all. And we're going to try to address some of these things in the agenda today. For instance, there's a lot of skepticism in the market, once you get beyond our own little bubble of mobile, about display advertising and whether it really works here and how it works here, and whether really display advertising is the kind of thing that we really want as the baseline of advertising on this device. At the same time, we have an agency panel that's going to engage how are they really setting expectations with clients? How are they really getting clients to better understand what scale is actually possible here, and how the results and the expectations from these devices really are quite different from what they may get even on the web. So, and also as we see the rapid migration of social media activity move onto mobile, do we know yet really how this is affecting years of planning and thinking about what social media is all about? When the context changes, does it enhance social media as we've known it, or does it diminish it? Do we know that much about it yet? Are people really thinking hard about it? It's one of the questions that we're going to ask today in the agenda. And then on the other hand, part of setting realistic expectations for mobile may be understanding that mobility is larger than any one device, that it's really a much bigger set of mobilized experiences that we need to start thinking about. So we're going to be looking finally today at the ways in which practically agencies and media companies are distinguishing between smartphones and tablets in the hopes that sometime in the next year or two we will stop lumping those two devices together and really start thinking about them on two different channels and what that'll mean. And then also for the first time in our mobile shows, we're going to talk about in-car audio or in-car media and the ways in which the car is now going to become the next site for discussing mobility and app development, and how that's the next real place where we're going to see an important extension of a lot of the things that we've already been talking about on smartphones and tablets. So being real or setting realistic expectations about mobile is both downsizing and upsizing. It's both understanding that mobile may in the end be good for a narrower range of digital marketing as we've noted on the web, but in many ways opens up a much broader set of possibilities for intimate engagement with people in a lot of different ways than we ever could have imagined before. I'll give you one quick anecdote from my wife. As many of you have read my Mobile Insider columns over the years know that I use my family a lot. My wife is totally app-phobic. I keep telling her there's an app for that, and she just doesn't want to listen. She doesn't care about apps. She doesn't want to deal with apps. When I finally convinced her, but she's also someone who has been running now for 30 years from her high school years. And I gave her just the very simple Nike Plus app, which is probably the most rudimentary of all fitness apps. And she started using it. And now she knows how far she ran. Now she can gauge and chart how much she ran. And it has truly, within just a couple of months, it has truly transformed the way that she runs and the joy that she gets out of running and how much she's running and the quality of her runs. And she's totally amazed by it. But all that happened here was that mobile technology was used to give her control and understanding of her own data. This is mobility writ large. This is bigger than an app. This is bigger than just extending the web. This is really this notion of mobility becoming a kind of intimate and personal empowerment, where she really was getting control and understanding of the data that she herself was casting off but had never organized in a way that really made sense to her and she could use in a positive way. These are the kinds of things, I think, that mobility writes large for us, helps us get new understanding of changing the relationship between a brand and a consumer that we never could have even imagined on the web. To start us off, though, and speaking of brands that have learned a lot of hard lessons, both good and bad, about using mobile media, Anheuser-Busch has been at the intersection of two of the most important developments in media over the last 7 years, mobile and social. It was a very early buyer of mobile advertising. It was among the first to deliver rich and detailed mobile websites and apps. I think a Bud Light mobile website was the first website that ever asked me my age a number of years ago. It's not been afraid to experiment very widely, especially in bringing utility to mobile apps and to enrich the relationship between customers and product. I think one of the most interesting things that I've seen from Anheuser-Busch over the last couple of years is an app that actually can track the beer that you're drinking right now and tell you where it was made, tell you about the brewmaster who made it and what's going on at the brewery. Is a fascinating changed relationship between person and product that mobile is used to establish. But perhaps the richest connection to mobility and Anheuser-Busch is in the company's longstanding devotion to the most mobile of popular art forms, and that's music. Anheuser-Busch has a rich history of sponsoring live events, and now in recent years, leveraging mobility in tying those live experiences with mobile experiences. There are a lot of lessons, good and bad, that the company has dared to learn from mobile, and so for this show, I think it's appropriate that we start a reality check on mobile with Anheuser-Busch. Paul Chiba is the VP of U.S. Marketing and U.S. Chief Marketing Officer at Anheuser-Busch. He's here to share some of those lessons. Paul oversees marketing for the U.S. brands Budweiser, Bud Light, Beck's, Michelob,